is just fantastic. Captain's Log, Subdate 210107.1. As ship efficiency starts to increase, now at 31.3%, I've ordered engineers and scutterbots to restore my personal replicators, because Moisty wants some macaroni. Welcome everyone to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we have 4 subjects I'd like to go through and one honourable mention that handily leads to the first subject. So to that we go to Michael Sheen. An actual Sheen, not an Estevez, and no, he is not the Polish either. Michael Sheen is a well-known celebrated actor, more recently for Good Omens. He also is a recipient of an OBE, which is a very prestigious award granted by the royal family via New Year's Honours lists, OBE standing for Omelette of the British Empire. Well, Michael Sheen was asked to give a speech about the royal family and be a little bit critical. Michael Sheen being Welsh, well, he wanted to talk about the fact that the first in line to the throne is typically granted the title of Prince of Wales, something which he would like to see scrapped, because he believes it to be an affront to the Welsh people. So he decided to give back his OBE so that he wasn't a hypocrite, which I found to be really, really interesting, because he is certainly not, by the standards he has now set, a hypocrite. He can now say whatever he likes about the royal family. They'll probably still give it back to him if he asked, though. So to the first subject we go to the New Year's Honours list. And this one bugged me. If anyone follows racing sports, you will have heard of Formula 1. Formula 1 is like World Rally and Le Mans, in the sense that there's only one team that really dominates, and all the other teams are essentially the B squad. And it is competitive, to an extent, within that one team, until the person running the team decides who wins the title. So the other person has to be second fiddle, therefore negating any competitive edge. For this we should now insert the 7-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is the current big thing, the big dog, the A-side, the number one. He has equalled Michael Schumacher's world title wins, and if he does return this season, he'll win another, because nobody is keeping up with the Silver Arrows at all. Although I would like to see Mick Schumacher annihilate him. We, the British, have gotten to a stage now where we no longer care about him for a couple reasons. One, because he's won too much and we don't care anymore. And two, and this is the big one, he's proud to be British, but he's a tax exile, in the sense that he lives in Switzerland and Monaco. He has made hundreds of millions and paid exactly dick into the tax system. Now you can say taxation is theft here, of course. But if you're going to champion the impoverished while you yourself reside within a tower made of all the world's ivory, I think one might be a hypocrite. Quite a large hypocrite. A very virtue-signalling hypocrite that took a knee to make a larger point. So how does Lewis Hamilton tie into this and the earlier mentioned honourable mention? Well, it's simple. Boris Johnson has awarded him a knighthood. Boris has done this because he's won 7 world titles, but has used an overseas loophole to grant it to him, even though by doing so, he has made himself look exactly like the quintessential conservative, granting it to wealthy friends. Although in this, I'm pretty sure Lewis Hamilton is not his friend, nor would he be. Well, he probably will be the moment he gets that knighthood. And no, I'm not going to call him Sir, ever. I have no respect for tax dodgers. I really don't. It's why I want to blow Guernsey off the face of the earth. To keep in with the minor theme earlier mentioned of Lewis taking the knee, we should now go to the Black Panther of Oxford-inspired political party, who have called for Holocaust-style reparations for all black people in the United Kingdom, and a register. Now this register bugs me, but we'll get to it in a moment. I do want to highlight the fact that they look upon David Lammy and Diane Abbott, 2 very prominent members of the Labour Party, as tokenistic members, even though Labour has quite a diverse members of Parliament spread, I guess. They consider those 2 to be the tokens. That's interesting. So Sasha Johnson, who is the executive member of this Taking the Initiative Party, or TTIP, wants those who are race offenders, let's call it that, those who have been caught out and charged with being a bit on the racist side, to be placed on a register identical to that of a sex offenders register. Now, I have a couple problems with this. The first is we should not at any point be equating those who are racist with those who have committed sex offences, ever. Because one is words, the other is actions. Which handily leads to the next point. The moment you create a race register, a register for words, you amplify hate crime law. You amplify calls for registers on other areas, other aspects. You are policing language and speech. By doing so, you are not giving people a fair chance. You are ensuring they are handicapped cause. And if anyone wants to now use the cop-out term of, you're just saying this because you've got privilege, you are telling me everything I need to know about how intelligent you are off the face of it, if you use such a scapegoat by proving you lack critical thought. So for me, this idea is dangerous, and not one anyone should be pushing for, because to do so opens a door to something that will then affect everyone and will prevent you from talking. You humans have yet to reach the stage of telepathy, although I'm certain someone will try and police that once you get there. As we apparently have a theme going when it comes to Black Lives Matter, we should now put Sadiq Khan, who you may have noticed on the thumbnail looking rather gormless, on blast for his New Year's Eve firework and light display. Now, every year in London they put on an amazing display. Last year, he championed the EU, which was rather interesting for a whole host of reasons, not least because we left. But okay, go stand on that hill and prepare to die on it, I guess. This year, though, Sadiq Khan decided, and since we're in lockdowns everywhere, things are a little bit more conservative, but he decided to make another gesture. Another gesture with the EU's colours yet again, even though we left a day earlier, but this time he included a nice little message for the NHS, which I fully supported. They've had a really rough year. They've had a rough many years, in fact, but this year has been especially challenging for them. He added, this fist. I'm not overly fond of this fist at the best of times. There are many other symbols that are considered fascist. Others have told me over and over again that 93% of BLM protests have been peaceful. You haven't looked at where that data was collected, have you? Okay, that's interesting. I keenly await the day this is added to the fascist list so I can see the salt flow. You've had to put up with others and their salt. I wait for this one. It'll be very interesting. Many people have dubbed this display ridiculous and expensive. It cost over £1 million, and yet Sadiq Khan constantly begs for money. They use drones to do the lighting displays, which I think is kind of cool, but at the expense of the taxpayer, not so much. Nobody can really celebrate this. I didn't hear Old Lang Syne. Nobody was partying. People were shielding. The last thing many want to see is a collection of drones in the sky for the equivalent of their battery life 5 minutes, when they'd rather see the bottom of a pint glass. 2021 has hardly been off to a stellar start in the first place when the entire United Kingdom was put back into national lockdown, with some minor differences than the first one, and fines have already been brought out for this new form of sheeple crowd control. Grumble, grumble, grumble. To our final subject, and actually it ties into sheeple crowd control. Look at that, we've segued every time. YouTube banned the channel Talk Radio from their site. They took them down, terminated them for breaching their rules, because they posted material that contradicted expert advice about the coronavirus pandemic. That is a quote from the BBC, not my words. But YouTube have U-turned on this, like the early 2010 Conservative government, saying that it sometimes makes exceptions to guidelines that state repeat offenders face a permanent ban. So Talk Radio kinda got a little pass. Many people, including digital rights campaigners Big Brother Watch, claim that this is evidence that big tech censorship is spiraling out of control. Google have put out a statement, or YouTube anyway, saying that it was briefly suspended, but upon review, it was reinstated because they had removed the content that violated the community guidelines. And also YouTube has a strike system. It shouldn't just be deleting channels. Yet they've done that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. For the last however many years, they've decided to go totalitarian. And in the face of the more recent trash from last year and now bleeding into this year, that theme has been continuing, with anyone contradicting the WHO being utterly silenced. That is not healthy. It leads to more clandestine discussion. It leads to more dissent and more anger. It leads to alienation and more going to alternative sites. And with that in mind, I upload my content to BitChute. Please help me get to 10,000 subscribers over there. I have linked it in the description down below. I will also link it as a pinned comment. As we're done here, I'd love to know what you all think, so please do let me know in the comments down below. As a final thing, I shall be streaming on Twitch tonight some Murder Fun Time. If I don't see you there, have a fantastic Thursday, and thank you all for listening.